all my locations, a small craft harbor, as well as the Whiskey Dock, which is the districtly owned properties. And at the bottom, Ms. Fortune has added the issues that were going on with the float house as well, with their ramp reconstruction, and now with the last storm, they have a piling issue as well.
If you could just wait, hold on 1 second, Mr. Courts. Mr. Rotenberg, the clock is showing.
Thank you.
Sorry for that interruption. Go ahead.
Perfectly fine. Are there any questions on any of the stuff that I've put in the synopsis report?
Does council have any questions for the harbour manager? Councillor Hoare?
I'm just curious about the piling replacement at Whiskey Dock. Like, how many are we talking?
I'm looking at doing about 10. I'm doing piece by budget.
Right.
It's been a year since I've tried to get the company PIM to come in. They're very specific on steel pilings.
Right.
So instead of just getting local ones that would give me wood, I'm trying to be patient and bring in the steel pilings. Still waiting on that. We've added a few other businesses in town that need pilings, so hopefully we can get them out here quicker than later.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question about that as well. Do you have a video camera down at Whiskey Dock?
I presently do, yeah.
Because in some cases it's actually boats that damage those pilings. Is that not correct?
It is possible, yes, absolutely. We could go back through cameras to see any major damage, but the problem is if there is cracking in it that eventually lets go, it would be hard to pinpoint it. If there was a collision, absolutely, you could figure it out from there.
And are the pilings inspected regularly to look for cracks?
I inspect as much as I can from topside. I do not do core piling checks, no.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Mafty?
As the pilings are replaced, is the dock going to remain operational, or is it going to be impossible for boats to use that dock while the work is being done?
While the work is being done over 2 or 3 days, it would probably be limited usage. They're not intrusive, but they have a barge out front, so there'd be no tying to the east side of the dock.
And that's 2 or 3 days per piling, or for the whole job?
About the whole job from my history working with them.
Thank you.
You'll master this microphone yet. Any other questions for the harbour master? Okay, thank you, Mr. Courts. Uh, 6.2 is role and function of the Harbour Authority, a verbal report by Ms. Fortune. Sorry, could you start again, please?
Can you hear me now? There we go. Good afternoon, Harbour Authority. I'd like to introduce you to our Harbour Master, who is a contract services for the District of Ucluelet, who oversees our harbours and all there is to do with that. And Kevin is going to go through that with you in just a moment, but I did want to officially introduce you. And Joy, could we get the slideshow, please? And as I stated when we met last week, that we'd go a little further into depth on what the Small Craft Harbour is and does, and your roles as the Harbour Authority. Got it? Perfect. This is what we're going to do. So any questions? Kevin and I are both here, and we can walk you through it. But I'm going to let Kevin do most of the talking because I'm still learning myself. And one of the things that I hope to do with BC Harbour Authority is to work with them to work with us, the Harbour Authority, to see how we can better support and manage our docks. All right, without further ado, you're up.
What's that? Yeah, you might need to move the mic. There we go. Okay, so we'll start off the first photo course taking. That would have been a year and a half ago from the 52 Steps location when all the whales came into the harbor. So yeah, we'll go from there. What we're going to look at today is our locations, so our responsibilities, our roles, a little bit on the harbor master plan, which was completed. Hey, look who's in the bottom picture. I'm sorry I cut her off though. That was when we first installed the weigh station. That was my first customer in the weigh station, which was Mark. And then one of our operators in the upper right-hand corner is Kevin Bradshaw with his kayak company there as well. And then we'll do a little bit of challenges and opportunities and capital expenditures at the very last of it. Okay, our locations for Ucluelet is the Inner Boat Basin at 200 Hemlock, which is the main location, doing about probably 70% of our business. The Outer Basin location, which is otherwise known as the Japanese Dock, is also 200 Hemlock, but on the far side of my parking lot. Main Street, which is also known as the Whiskey Dock. There's multiple names. The dock's been around for a long time. There's local names as well as official names. Otter Street, otherwise known as 52 Steps, and the newer locations, Pat Leslie Boat Launch, which is at the base of Seaplane Base Road, and Alder Park at the base of Alder. Inner Boat Basin. Okay, so the Inner Boat Basin consists of 5 400-foot long, approximately, fingers with 15, 20-foot smaller fingers, mostly used for recreational vessels. The large parking lot, one of probably the larger parking lots in the community, fish cleaning station, washrooms, laundries, and showers. Inner Boat Basin, so the inner boat docks, the office, the parking lot are owned by Department of Fisheries and Oceans, otherwise known as DFO. The fish cleaning dock, the washroom buildings are your guys's. That's DFO's. I would say DOU's, sorry. That's your guys's. Outer Basin will be our next location, which is Japanese Dock. Huge historical. We did an upgrade in 2016 by adding 2 large breakwater docks and reconfiguring one of the fingers. Ideally, when we put those in, it was to give us the usable area of 52 steps, and they were going to remove 52 steps. So that was going to be the replacement of it. So thankfully, we've been able to hold on to both properties since then. The Outer Basin consists of the main walkway and 2 finger docks. There are also 2 large breakwaters, which I just mentioned. Once the Canadian Princess was removed, we could put those docks in. They won't be able to bring something of that size in again without removing the docks, but they're steel pilings, they can be removed. More to this dock are WCMRC, which is Western Canada Marines, sorry, I'm missing an S, spill response. So they are, I'm sorry, it's kind of blocked in the picture, on the right picture there. Yeah, right there. You'll see their vessels tied to the dock there on the second finger. They're in place when they twin the Trans Mountain pipeline for spill response. Main location's Port Alberni, where it's kind of a satellite location. They have 200 lineal feet of reserve space on that dock. Also, there's RCM SAR, which is the Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue. They have their building slightly in front of it. Outside of them is the RCMP vessel. Also on that main walkway down is the 2 national park vessels. The Outer Basin dock is owned property by DFO. Main Street, otherwise known as Whiskey Dock. It was Transport Canada Dock up until it was divested to the District of Ucluelet. The Main Street dock consists of the main wharf head, as well as 1 lower finger dock. Main Street dock is owned by the District of Ucluelet. You guys can do whatever you want with that property without getting other approvals, other than, of course, going to foreshore and that. We have foreshore that we're paying for that can be utilized. So if you're looking to do a little bit of expansion or changing of the docks, there's room for that. And hopefully, eventually, I'll repropose something I put to the last council. Otter Street, otherwise known as 52 Steps, although there's 53 stairs. The Otter Street dock consists of 1 long 450-foot long dock, 53 steps up to the road. It is owned by DFO. It was, before we put the breakwater in, it was used a lot by dragger traffic. So they would hang out there. It was just easier than coming into the inner basin with the tidal issues. Now that we put the big breakwater dock out there, it's transformed a little bit. A lot of that traffic has moved to the inside, to the Japanese dock. A lot of locals, as you can see on the inside of the dock, smaller boats use that dock now. The hindrance for it is the stairs and lack of electricity. Other than that, it's decently set up. Pat Leslie boat launch has some issues, as you can see in the picture on the right with the truck coming out of the water. Pat Leslie boat launch is located at the base of Seaplane Base Road. It is a District of Ucluelet property. Once again, you guys can do what you need to on that property. Alder Park, not part of my portfolio, and it is at the base of Alder Street, mostly used for kayaks, correct? Yep. As well as just a spot for picnicking and looking out there. Okay. Give myself a little bit of catch up. Okay, so this is roles, and I should have put a heading on that. Department of Fishery and Ocean. Program is to operate to maintain a national system of harbors to provide commercial fishing harvesters and other harbor users with a safe and accessible to the facilities. Ideally, DFO was funded by commercial fishers, and it was a commercial fishing dock. As time has moved on and improvements been made, it's based now at taxpayers' dollars. So their portfolio is slowly expanding out to all user groups, with the emphasis on DFO, on commercial fishers and First Nation fisheries. So that is what I have to provide at the inner basin and outer basin, and 52 steps. That is my main priority, is the commercial and First Nation fisheries. You guys. Ucluelet Harbour Authority. You guys double as council, but in my situation when I'm here, it's Ucluelet Harbour Authority. Provides an essential service to harbor users, keeps essential harbor facilities in good repair, establishes and enforces rules, represents the needs of the users in the community level, and charging and collecting of fees, creating bylaws, operations, as well as repairs. So you guys are the caretakers of DFO's properties under your head lease. So you guys have a head lease with DFO. They have a list of things, and this is just taken from the DFO website, that you guys are responsible for. And then, click, you pass that on to me. So then I am contracted to you guys to make sure all that stuff is happening. And then with an oversight by district to make sure that I am doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. It's kind of how it works. It's a weird hierarchy. It comes up the chain, it goes back down the chain. So for me, assesses district-owned and managed harbor facilities and infrastructure, including recommendations, guidance, and ongoing maintenance and capital improvement. So if I see things that are going on a maintenance level, which I have a budget for, I just get it done. If it becomes a capital expenditure cost, then I go to district. If it becomes a capital expenditure cost on DFO property, I go to district and DFO, because DFO should pay for their own capital expenditure costs. If it's Main Street Dock, if it's Pat Leslie, or if it is, although it's not my portfolio, Alder, that becomes district's own responsibility and taxpayers' dollars. Support harbor bait related industries and tourism, alignment with community vision, goals, and objectives. So this goes to the fact of amalgamating the resort community with the DFO mandate of commercial fisheries and First Nation fisheries. So it's to make sure that I can blend them both together to make the harbor most beneficial to the district. Maintain, undertake repairs, which is my responsibility, and uphold harbor front and commercial, recreational, industrial, federal needs while maintaining and enhancing harbor users' characters and charm. Although they are DFO docks and properties, they are used by all branches of government, as well as recreational users. So I will have Enviro doing their sampling in my parking lot with their little shed that comes through. I'll have CBSA doing checks at 52 steps, RCMP stuff that I have able to work with. So it is a huge asset to our community on multiple levels. Any questions at this point?
Any questions from council for the harbour master or staff?
Okay.
I have a couple.
Oh, absolutely, please.
How is our head lease doing with DFO?
Good question. I actually sent off a note to Valerie, who is our representative from DFO for Ucluelet, and they're still working on it. So we have a sublease that she's not worried about it, but DFO for the entire Canada is still working on putting together a new head lease.
And the one that we motioned to have temporarily, does that have an expiry date?
No, at this point in time, it's month to month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And my other question was about customs, and I know you're trying to get customs back. Oh, okay. It's further in the agenda? Got it.
Okay, the Harbour Master Plan. So the Harbour Master Plan was, when I came in 2013, was already in place from the 2012 Harbour Master Plan, which laid out projects, laid out objectives and opportunities. Every 5 years or so, DFO requests a updated Harbour Master Plan, which we've completed in 2021, 2022. Finished in 2022, which piggybacked on top of the 2012, as well as new updates with interactions with user groups. We had programs where we had people, because it was COVID, a lot of Zoom meetings with user groups and put out surveys to come back with what the community would look like for objectives and where they wanted the harbour to move towards. So. It is available on the district's website. It is a good read. It's actually well written. So yeah, if there's, I can answer a little bit of that. Any questions on the Harbour Master Plan?
Any questions from council? No, you're good to go.
Okay. Challenges and opportunities. Challenges, always. Our harbour is very popular. Both for recreational and commercial because of location. We were extremely popular this year with the tuna group because the warm water kept them down here. Next year, the warm water could push above. We won't be as busy with the commercial, but the recreation will come up. So limited dock space is always an issue. Rafting, we do rafting. We use 52 steps as much as possible for a lot of the local crowd that don't need power. It's trying to manage the space that we have. Waste management and need for controlled enclosures. We've talked about that with the district. We're looking at putting an enclosure down with our dumpster at Inner Boat Basin to make it a little bit more harbor user accessible and less community accessible, because it seems to be a bigger issue. And the loss of the customs dock at 52 steps. So 52 steps was never an official recreational customs station, but it was utilized in conjunction with the RCMP being able to go and check vessels. But at the present time, once April of last year, they removed that status from us, so they wouldn't do that at all. Only thing available still there is commercial customs clearance. So once again, we'll go with the tuna guys. We had U.S. tuna vessels that fished in Canadian waters that cleared customs through that location. Opportunities. Right now I'm working with, and that was where I was a little late to the meeting, with DFO on the Ghost Gear program. So Ghost Gear being nets, traps, buoys that are floating around in the ocean, becoming more pollution than they're worth because they've been abandoned or lost. The enclosure that I have there, chain link fence, is for that collectional purpose. They're looking for a volunteer. The meeting I had today, they're looking for a volunteer, commercial volunteer, or surrendering of gear, just because gill net fisheries and troll fisheries are becoming less and less, and guys have boats and equipment, so they're looking to expand that program so people can volunteer their stuff instead of it just becoming an abandoned issue and a derelict issue. Revamping the expansion of the whiskey docks and extension of the downtown core, and that's once again, that's something I will represent to the district that I'd worked before on, and see what if there is a desire to move upon on that. Sorry, try to find the right word. Appetite, that's a better word. I've always got one of those. Oh, certainly.
To further answer your question about the customs dock, that is something that we're going to look at, and we're going to look at it at a regional level. Areas such as the airport and Port Alberni, and I believe it's a 3-hour turnaround time, if I remember correctly, where you have a customs officer. So that is something we're going to explore, and it is, I think, an important aspect, especially at 52 steps, to further pursue.
Great, thank you. I also had a question that pertains to this slide, but it may be further in the agenda. The sailboat race, Van Isle 360. That's what I'm trying to think of. They're coming this year, correct?
Correct.
And so you'll do your usual thing and group them together at different docks.
Depending on drafting of vessels, because of course we can only do a 10-foot draft in the inner basin because of we only have 10 feet on zero tide, so I can't have keels touching.
Right. I always look forward to seeing those sailboats come in.
Yeah, they're here, I believe, for 3 days this time. So if my memory's right.
And is it in May? When is that? June. Great, thank you.
Yep. Potential capital projects. Yep, this is not my slide. That's okay. So we're looking, as we spoke earlier about the piling issue at the Whiskey Dock. I've requested in meetings to expand my budget to up to 110. It's been in 2 years carryover. This will be year 3 of carryover for steel piling work. The more I can get done, the more I can get creosote pilings that we already own out of the harbor. The boat launch upgrade, which is something we were looking at probably in early spring. And the new garbage compound, which I've already got in some quotes on that, which came in at 14,000.
Slide in. And just a reminder that these funds are all funded through the Small Craft Harbour itself. There is no implications to taxpayers on this. But we also have limited amount, so we have to be wise in how we choose which projects to do.
Can I ask Ms. Fortune a question about the Larch? I think there was going to be a kayak launch actually put in. Alder. Yes, Alder
You
Park.
certainly can ask me that question. As part of our RMI funding project, we are going to be RFPing that project out in February, and we hope to have it up and running late spring. Maybe I'm being a little bit optimistic, but that's the plan.
Great, thank you.
Right. Any last questions or?
Councillor Mafty?
I have three questions, and I'll go through them in reverse chronological order. As far as kayaks launching at Alder Road, is there any provision for parking? Because it seems to me that might be an issue that crops up beyond just the actual physical space from which to launch the kayaks. Where are people going to have their cars while they're out kayaking?
It's a very good question. Right now we have a parking lot in front at Alder. It's not really well marked out, and so one of our intent is to properly lay it out so that we can actually have a certain designated number of parking spots. It's also meant as a community launch as well. So I think the combination, we should be in good shape.
And then I have a question about the garbage. My understanding is that any expansion of the garbage collection at the harbor would be paid for through the Harbor Authority, and I'm wondering if there's any other alternate source of funding that could be explored, whether it would be through DFO or someone else, because it seems to me that a lot of that garbage is being deposited there through the use of the harbor as it's intended as a harbor for commercial fisheries and whatnot. So like, why is it that the Harbor Authority is on the hook to pay for the garbage in its entirety to expand it?
Yeah. So it's part of the head lease that you guys have with DFO to look after the waste management, be it used oil, be it pads, be it batteries, or garbage.
Additionally, with the mortgage fees, that part of the collection of the mortgage fees is to cover cost of garbage. Where we're having problems with the garbage is residents dumping their garbage in the harbor bin, and so that's one of the things we're hoping to correct with the new compound. So you would have a code to get in as a user of the harbor.
Yeah, that's great. I think this is not a question specifically, but it is obviously something that the community has tried for a long time to do to encourage responsible garbage disposal, and it's disappointing to see. It's obviously not Kevin's fault or anyone's fault, but it's disappointing to see ripped open garbage bags and animals eating them when we try so hard to avoid that elsewhere. And I had that's it for now. Thank you. What exactly is involved with the upgrading of the boat launch? What's the work slated for $12,000?
That's the wood area, right? Yeah. So the turnaround that's existing now, it's too tight. Although there's water line from the issues that we had in the spring. Once that's removed, and we've already got the property lines let up, so we're going to basically take the tree line out. So it'd be more of a turnaround for launching the vessel at this point.
And then just a follow-up question, is there any provision or plan at this point to extend the launch further underwater so that it's accessible at all tides?
Thanks, guys. Absolutely. It's something that we're going to explore further. We have a report from Herald Engineering. We just have to put some numbers to it. And so that is something I hope to bring to you in the fall of 2023.
Thank you.
Are you waiting for questions? Oh, okay. Councillor Hoare? Councillor Kennington?
Just one question. Are the waste management, are we doing sort of a sort and go with that, or the organics getting separated? Because that's kind of high quality organics that would be just going in the landfill if we're not.
At this point, I've not explored to put organics and stuff into it. That's certainly something we could look at as we push forward with the program. At this point, I'm just facilitating a place for people to get rid of their garbage, but we could easily change that up.
Councillor Anderson, anything from you?
Nope.
Okay. Ms. Fortune?
I just wanted to additionally say, with the Harbour Master Plan, what Kevin and I are going to be doing this year is taking the top recommendations and seeing how we can put them into action, into play, and some will be budget, but it was something that we'll continue to report to the Harbour Authority over the next year or so. But I just wanted to follow up with that. And I believe you do have a copy of the Harbour Master Plan in your information sharing file. Is that correct? Yeah.
Great, thank you. I think you're good to go. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
The final report is the Harbour Authority Resolution Tracker. Are there any questions about the tracker? Councillor Hoare?
Regarding the West Coast Wild Adventure fuel boat, is that something that we're looking to get on track with him for the next season? Is that the plan?
That is correct.
No further questions on the tracker? Great, thank you. I believe that brings us to adjournment at 4:34. Yes, the regular council meeting will start at 5, so we have a bit of a break here in between to sign Christmas cards.